when you're running, you run for hours.
Days.
What? Days.
So I've been grinding lately. Had to go back to the lab, readjust some shit in my brain, put a lot of miles in. Every day, run over 20 miles a day, getting up early, going to bed early, eating the right shit. This last week, started taking a toll on me. I usually don't think too much. Get my shoes on, head the f*** out. I've been thinking a lot. That internal voice has been talking to me. Talking about, oh man, you're tired. Looking at my shoes about 30 minutes before I put the motherfuckers on. Pushing back the time that I go out to go run. So I decided to tape record myself. That internal voice I put on tape sounds like a straight bitch when I listen to that motherfucker. So if you ever have a hard time out there, tape yourself. Listen to what kind of bitch you're being. Stay hard.
Put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skill. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before.
My whole thing is a mentality thing. Like I told you in the last time I was on the show, I viewed myself as the weakest person on the planet Earth. My goal in life was to, in my mind, believe I'm the hardest man alive. That's what it's about. It's about whatever you think you are, you have to make that dream a reality. But that's where the hard part is making that dream reality. That's where the hard work comes in. That's where people know, how do you keep grinding every day? You have to make those insecurities, those fears. Like when I was 300 pounds, I didn't have any drive.
You can't have that life until you're willing to put in that work. I need you to hustle until you no longer have to introduce yourself. I need you to work this business so hard that you don't have to convince anybody. I need you to work this business so hard that they begging you to get in. They begging to get on your team. They're begging to go on the road. I need you to hustle so hard. I need you to go in so hard that people start calling you and you don't have to call them. You should be grinding and you looking at the score. The score is what it is. The score ain't about to change because you looked at it. Keep playing the game. Keep grinding. Keep working. And that other stuff will take care of itself.
Wake up every single day. And if the opportunity to work out is there, work out. If the opportunity is there to read.
Because you got to tell the flesh who's in control. I'm in control. You're not in control. I know you don't want to wake up. You don't have an option. Get up. We trying to eat. There's a certain lifestyle we want.
I had to look at my insecurities and in my fear and find drive in that. We're all looking for passion. Passion's all around you. You have a whole stack of it all around you. It's your insecurities, all that. All the energy and fuel you need is right in yourself. It's all there. You got a lot of stuff to do to overcome. And you know, that's where I found it. I found it right there in my own insecurities. I found drive in my own insecurities. And that's the most powerful thing in the world. When you can find drive in your own doubt, fear, insecurities, you become very unstoppable.
What is making you a quitter? What is making you a weak man? What is making you afraid? I literally put myself in a fire repeatedly like a sword. You put a sword in the fire repeatedly and repeatedly. If you keep on doing that, you're gonna get a nice sword. I said, okay, we can't quit. We gotta figure out why you are this pussy. Why are you this pussy, man? What is wrong with you? What's going on here? So I kept on putting the sword back in the daggone fire and I just beat it harder. And I beat it harder. Before I knew it, I started realizing, all right, man, the brain is starting to get hard. The brain is starting to get hard. I'm no longer a theorist. I'm now a practitioner. I put it in hell. I dissected it while it's in hell because you can't dissect anything in a normal environment. You can't dissect anything in 72-degree weather. You must put it in the fucking freezer and freeze the fuck out of it. And then you dissect it. Dissect it when it's miserable.
Dissect the brain when all it's thinking about is, I need to get out of here, man. I want to get out of the fucking freezer. Open the door. And you said, nah, 5 more seconds, man. 5 more seconds in the freezer. And that's when you start to pick that brain apart. And that's what all this stuff did to me. I kept on putting myself back into the freezer or the fire and beating the shit out of myself, mentally and physically. Before I knew it, this is what happened.
You're capable of breaking any pattern. You're capable of getting control of your health. You're capable of launching a business. You're capable of making millions of dollars. You're capable of healing your trauma, of finding love, of doing absolutely anything that you put your mind to, as long as you are willing to do the work for it and as long as you give up your timeline. Because I do believe that people who put in the work get rewarded. But you just might not get rewarded when you think you're going to be. And it might not be the reward that you thought you were going to get.
Start you a new life. Switch gears, switch language, switch ideas, switch strategy. Start with the simplest of disciplines. And don't demean any of these disciplines. The smallest of disciplines starts the process of life change. And if you'll invest in this thing called discipline, you can have whatever you wish. It's called the beginning miracle.
I'm astounded by how many people want to be spectacular in life, but also want to be normal. By being normal, you are, by definition, aiming for average. Normal people get normal results. Exceptional people get exceptional results. You literally can't do what everyone else does and expect to not get what everyone else has got. By doing what everyone else does, you guarantee average results.
You want to exercise your freedom on the world, but you don't want to exercise it on yourself. Oh, you'll shut the world down for telling you what you can't do, but you won't say nothing to you when you don't do what you're supposed to do. You're not getting up when you're supposed to get up. You procrastinate, but you let you slide. You want to hold them accountable? Hold yourself accountable too. You always want to blame other people. You want to hold other people to the fire, but you're not holding yourself to the fire. There are things you like, you have absolutely no control. You are like a slave to you. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you? And you need to get rid of them excuses, and you need to stop pointing fingers at people. And you need to start pointing fingers at yourself. What did you not do?
If you don't improve your skill, if you don't do everything you can, if you don't stop cutting corners, stop taking it easy, stop letting that little voice win the fucking war in your brain that says, tomorrow, I'll start Monday. It's not that big of a deal. Give yourself a break. You work really hard. You deserve this. If you don't silence that fucking voice, you will lose everything. No compromise, no exceptions, ever. That's the test you have to pass in order to earn your way into the life that you desire. It's an opportunity to prove to everyone else, but most importantly, yourself, what you are really made of. It's an opportunity to prove that you're a winner. It's an opportunity to prove you are what you say you are in your head when you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror and you say, there goes a bad motherfucker, you actually believe it.
Today I need you to embrace what comes hard. Today I need you to accept the challenge. Today I need you to fall in love with the process.
There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion and think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time, or the 5th time, or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing for that you are relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it's taking. You don't give up because people told you no. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I am not going to stop believing. I am not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what was in my heart.
And ask ourselves, what do I really want? What do I really want? And write it down. Writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. And you get these images going, you're building a vision in your mind. It's the visionaries that change the world. Think of that.
But what keeps that competitive edge, what keeps you on top, is the ability to think and prepare mentally over and over and over again. The body has limitations, the mind does not. We focus so much on what goes on from the neck down that we forget it all starts from here. Everything starts from there. If you're not mentally ready, you're never really physically prepared. And that's where the preparation starts.
What would your life be like as you look toward the future if you decided, I'm not going to allow my fears to stop me? And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do it, because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender.
So when you're young and you make mistakes, don't let them eat you up. Because everybody that done made it, done made it. You got to fail in order to win. Hey, look, man, to understand how to hit the game-winning shot, you got to miss the game-winning shot. You know, you got to be tough because the road to success is always under construction. It's never a clear path to success. The people who become successful are the people who have a relentless attitude. And you just got to hang in there through the bad breaks, because the bad breaks is coming, but they usually come right before the big break is about to happen. You get a series of bad breaks and it stumbles up a lot of people. My life and my success is to say to anyone, you can stumble, you can fall, you can get back up again.
No matter what you face, no matter how bad it is going to be, when there is a challenge, and by a challenge, I mean anything in life, any challenge, anything that you're facing, the only way to overcome the challenges that you face is to start walking. Take that step every day, no matter what you are facing. Get up and start walking.
The two things to kind of wrestle with there to think about. First, you need to know what you're optimizing for. But then secondly, you need to be willing to experiment a little bit and try new things. And as you're willing to do that, you're looking for these signals of progress. And eventually you're like, okay, this is a path that's a little more fruitful. But so I think, what am I optimizing for? Can my current habits carry me to my desired future? Related to that, there's probably a little bit of like you're almost being ruthless with yourself about where you're actually spending your time. So one little thought experiment I like is, let's say aliens came down and they can't talk to you, but they can just watch you throughout the day. If somebody could see you, but they could only watch your actions and not hear your words, what would they say your priorities are? So you can't convince them. You can't tell them any stories. They can't be sold on your reasoning. They can only watch your behavior. And if you ask yourself questions like that, you start to realize like, oh, maybe I say that I'm optimizing for one thing, but actually my behavior doesn't match up with that as well. And it's good to have a plan for how to change that, but just being aware of that, just noticing the gap between what you say you want and what you're doing, that alone, just noticing it will often change your behavior a little bit. So yeah, those are just a couple questions to ask. There's obviously kind of an endless cycle we could follow here. I mean, once you're a little bit more clear about what you're doing, what path you're on, then you can start asking questions like the ones that we raised earlier about, does this work keep working for me when it's done? Am I multiplying my efforts in a way that is productive rather than spending the keystrokes or spending the hour at one time and it's not serving me anymore? So you're kind of like, first, you're kind of like narrowing your focus and figuring out, am I on the right path? And then once you're on the path, you're trying to figure out, how can I move down it more quickly? How can I multiply the effort and the minutes and the hours that I'm putting in and so on?
We said to have an extraordinary life, you got to have an extraordinary psychology, right?
Extraordinary psychology means you got to live in an extraordinary state. To be in an extraordinary state, you got to condition your nervous system, your body, your physiology and focus to be at their best. Then to do that, though, you can do that. Why doesn't everybody? It's not because you can't. We all have the ability. It's because of our standards.
Think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where some point in time you just shifted and you raised the standard and your life changed. Because whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are.
My journey from here to there was lonely. The reason? I was willing to be wrong and admit wrong so that I could grow and so that I could change. You see, growth is a result of bad habits dropped, wrong priorities changed, and new ways of thinking embraced. It happens only when we question ourselves enough to ask serious questions from others. The people who do not grow are unwilling to ask themselves or others hard questions. They are unwilling to leave what they have known and practiced. They are not willing to be wrong so they can discover what is right. Therefore, they cling to right, and their lives turn out wrong. How sad.
We get what we're looking for. We filter out everything else in our life. You're gonna get what you're looking for even if it doesn't even exist, even if it's not even there. If you're looking for negatives, if you're looking for setbacks, if you're looking to be looked over, you will find it even though it's not supposed to be there. But if you're looking for victory, for winning, for recruits, for people to change your life, for magic moments, you will find them if you're looking for them. I promise you that's true in life.
Your brain, when you condition it, knows exactly what to go for and it'll find a way to get there. When you decide what's most important to you, your brain goes after it.
Surrender of being right enables us to ask questions that others can answer and add value to us. Surrender of being right is the prerequisite to finding right. I believe that with all my heart. And here's what I know. I never want to get to the place where I've got it all figured out. I still want to keep learning, I still want to keep growing, and I still want to be a student. And I still want to be on a learning curve, and I still want to value people, and I still want to walk into their life and say, look, you have something that if I could just ask the right question, you could impart to me that would help me, that would allow me to become a better person myself.
Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. If you're going to do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build and on which to grow. I'm not worried that you'll be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. The person that gets up off the canvas and keeps growing, that's the person that will continue to grow their influence.
So the maxim is help people feel successful. And that maxim applies to people creating products and services like Instagram. One reason it really took off is because its people used it. They took a picture, they put a filter, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm an artist. Look at my picture, it's so awesome. So they immediately feel successful. The feeling of success is what wires in the habit. Yeah. It's not repetition. It is a feeling of emotions create habits. And specifically in Tiny Habits, what we focus on is the feeling of success. So when you do something and feel successful, that behavior becomes much more automatic. You're more likely to do it in the future. So if people can do a behavior like 2 push-ups or eat broccoli or any little thing and feel successful, then that behavior will become more automatic. And there's ways to hack that. and help yourself create habits very quickly, very, very quickly, if you know how to fire off a positive emotion. The other thing that the feeling of success does is it motivates you to do it again in the future. That's different than wiring in a habit into your brain. So that's, effect number 2 is increases your motivation. And the third effect, and there's more, but I'll stop here. I call it success momentum. As people do behaviors and feel successful, their confidence, you could call it self-efficacy, increases. And that means when they hit roadblocks or little bumps in the road, they can get through them. That's why I like calling it success momentum. They can get through it. And with that increased confidence, with that success momentum, then they can tackle other challenges in their life more effectively. So that and other reasons are why, that maxim, I only have 3 maxims, and that's number 2. And it's just, if you're designing products and services, bam, that's a key for you. If you're creating new habits in your life, that's a key. Help yourself feel successful. If you're coaching other people, helping other people like you do, that's another, that's the same thing. Help them feel successful. Now, it's only 4 words, help people feel successful, but the way you do that can be challenging. And it's not obvious to everyday people how, the fact that they just set out their vitamins or took a sip of water, how they can feel successful about that. But people can learn to bring up that emotion and wire in these positive habits really quickly.
There are many ways to get the things that we want for ourselves in our lives. But basically, it all begins with how we choose to think. As you think, so shall you be.
I don't know why you do what you do. What is your motive for action? What is it that drives you in your life today, not 10 years ago, or are you running the same path, or your way? The needs, the beliefs, the emotions that are controlling you for 2 reasons. So there's more of you to give. They're cheap too. We all want to do it, but give. So that's what's going to fill you up. And secondly, so you can appreciate, not just understand, that's intellectual, that's mind, but appreciate what's driving other people. It's the only way our world's going to change.
Everyone's going to hit adversity. Everyone's going to hit adversity. It's how you deal with that adversity. And the key word is you, not letting somebody else deal with that adversity. You have to deal with that adversity. And how you deal with it. Are you going to fight through it, or are you going to curl up and just roll over into the corner? It's going to pretty much determine how the rest of your development from a mental standpoint is going to carry you.
You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind.
But it first starts with a sound, right? There's this sound that I hear, and that sound moves, all right? That sound moves. So this was a sound that I heard years ago. And there are times in my life where I just stop and I play this sound because it does something for me internally. It moves me. Write that down. The very first thing that needs to happen to you every single day is you need to be moved. You need to be moved. Whatever it is that you can do literally to incite it. Listen to me very closely. When I say find something that moves you, what most of you do wrong is you're waiting for something to move you. Instead of creating the thing every day that moves you. And the reason why I say find something that moves you, because what separates humans is our effort. There's some of us, we give 70% in what we do. Some of us 80%, some of us 90%, some of us 100%, some of us 120%. And so when you move and you are moved, it allows you to operate at a whole different level.
We kind of have this idea that, well, you're free as a child, and then you have a certain delightful, wonderful, positive freedom as a child, and then that's given up as you approach adulthood. But the truth of the matter is that you have a lot of potential as a child, but none of that is capable of manifesting itself as freedom before you become disciplined. And discipline is a matter of the imposition of order, and the order is necessary, especially for people who are hopeless and nihilistic. And lots of people are hopeless and nihilistic, way more people than you think. And part of that is because no one's ever really encouraged them. And so the book is in part a matter of encouragement. It's like, lay a disciplinary structure on yourself, get the chaos in check, and then you can move towards a state that's freer, because it's discipline first. Like, look, if you're going to become a concert pianist, there's going to be several thousand hours of extraordinarily disciplined practice. That's the imposition of order on your potential, let's say. But what comes out of that is a much grander freedom. And so in virtually every freedom that you have in life that's true freedom is purchased at the price of discipline.
At some point, you got to start winning. You can't always look for other people to help you. Other people got their own problems. They got their own shit they got to deal with. They're trying to achieve their own goals. They are willing to assist, but after a while, if you constantly looking for assistance, constantly looking for help, it's on you. Your failure and your success is on you.